All right, so today we're going to do a little bit of work with opening up our heart and staying open for good, healthy breathing. I think, we have this beautiful snow falling outside, and a lot of times when there's snow, we have this feeling that we want to just kind of curl in, and that's can be beautiful, kind of if you have the type of day available to you where you can curl up on the couch with a book and a cup of tea, then yay for you that you have that. But for many of us, when cold comes, we tend to shrink. So this is to help us kind of stay open and available for beautiful breathing, as well as just keeping our heart open for the day. So let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to drop our awareness into our bodies. To make sure that you are up on something supportive. I'm sitting on a bolster, whatever you are sitting on. Make sure that it's something that supports the elevation of your spine, the lift of your spine. Take a moment to just drop your awareness, your attention into this moment. Pay attention to perhaps where your mind has been these last few moments or a few hours. Have you noticed any constant thought pattern that just kind of keeps erupting to the surface, or maybe not even to the surface, but is just there? Or if we remember, one of the Stoic lessons from yesterday's class, the sense of whatever we put our attention toward, we become. So, being aware of where the mind takes us is very important. So harness, put a little dog leash on the brain right now and harness yourself back into the body in this moment. What is the first physical sensation you're aware of when you ask yourself to pay attention? Just go ahead and keep scanning the body for sensation. Notice if you have anywhere that feels free and open. Maybe you're coming across some place that feels a little stuck or tense. Maybe you're working with an area of the body that's hurting this morning. And be ever watchful for places that kind of escape your awareness, the hidden places of numbness or, kind of places we've banished a little bit from our awareness. And let's begin to observe our breathing. It's very difficult to catch a glimpse of air, your breath that's kind of native. That's something that exists without our observation affecting it. So if you get to notice a natural breath, good for you. And whatever you're noticing, let's start to change the breath just a little bit. So start to slow things down to whatever place is uncomfortably comfortable or comfortably uncomfortable, where your pace is, there's just a slight bit of tension to it, not enough to make you short of breath or anxious, but enough to um, harness the power of patience. Bring your hands together at your heart and bow in. Setting the tone for our practice. Here we are now. Now we are here. All right, let's interlace your fingers. Stretch your arms overhead. Maybe look up. A little bit of a back bend in the upper body. And then stretch your arms straight out to the sides. The palms, you can't see my hand, but my fingertips are pointing straight up toward the sky. We're just going to do a few shoulder rolls, just like this. Okay, not enough where our neck is getting cranky about it, but just enough to wake up some of the nerve pathways. Fingertips are still pointing straight up toward the sky. And now we're going to turn and bring the fingertips down toward the earth. Okay. Move your circles the other way. Neck is soft. Open up your hands, spread your palms. And then lift your palms straight up. And then release your hands down. Shrug your shoulders up. And release them. And let's just do a few shoulder rolls here where we're taking some mobility in our shoulder blades. Excuse me. Okay, so just feeling that sense of roll. Roll the other way. And then roll one at a time. One shoulder back, the other shoulder back. And then forward. One shoulder forward, the other shoulder forward. Notice your ribs. And then hands on your knees, round your spine, tuck your chin toward your chest. Inhale, arch your spine, chin up, touch your teeth. All right, and neutral, a simple twist. Left arm lifting up, bring it to the outside of the right knee. Your hand can be behind you, supporting you, feeling the twist of the spine. Maybe you want to turn your head all the way, even your eyes. Maybe you'd rather turn your head all the way back, even your eyes. Whatever you're doing, breathe. And then come back. Change sides, right arm up, bring it to the outside of the left knee. Twisting here. Notice what your spine is doing. Are you pushing the chest way forward? Can you stay grounded through your sit bones? Finding your breathing. A neutral low back. And come back to center. Right fingertips over onto the ground. Left arm reaching up and over to the side. Okay, and then change sides up and over to the side. Now notice everything we've just done sitting. So, if you sit for long periods of time in a chair for work, now bring your knees to your chest and just round your spine for a moment. If you sit for long periods of time, remember always that there's available postures for you to do for a few moments during your day without even having to get up. Not that I recommend not getting up. I definitely recommend getting up. All right, so let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. Okay. So while you're here, stretch your arms up overhead and feel that reach and length in your spine. Maybe stretch one side and then stretch the other side. Just get used to that nice, beautiful awakening in the ribs. And then bring your arms out to the side like cactus arms. Notice if the backs of your hands can easily rest on the ground, or perhaps not so much, and only your fingers can get on the ground and not the back of your wrist. Maybe you don't even get your hand to the ground. Just notice where your range of motion is. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest and let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Circle the knees. Get that feeling that you can have a sense of freedom across your sacrum. Then change directions. Circle the knees another way. All right, and then
When you're ready, open the knees away from each other and back in. So just getting your hips to come online and warm up and be aware of how your hips are feeling today. Right knee comes into the chest, left leg long on the ground, give a good squeeze. And change, other leg, give a good squeeze. Change again, right knee and left leg long, good squeeze. Stay here, feel free to wiggle your feet. You can roll around in your ankles and kind of wake up that lower body all the way down to your feet. And switch sides. Allow your left knee to hug in. Feel free to move around in your ankles and toes. Give a good squeeze in that knee. Breathing well. Stretch your limbs wide, a big, beautiful star on the ground. Reach all the way to your fingers and your toes. And while you're here, rock your legs. Internally rotate your thighs all the way down to your feet, and then externally rotate. Internal and external. And then knees into your chest, round the spine, tuck in, and then release your head down onto the ground. Left foot on the floor, right leg is straight up in the air. Interlace your hands behind your right hamstring. Press your hamstring a bit into your hands. While we're here, let's flex and point our toes. Maybe move your ankle around, just feeling in. So we're creating awareness of sensation in this moment. Try not to have goals of, I need to be strong here, I need to be flexible there, I need to be capable of balancing this way or that way. Think about just finding sensation. Right foot down onto the ground. Interlace your hands on your left hamstring. Now left leg is up in the air. And then flex and point your left foot. And just feel into what you're feeling. Can you travel the sensation farther? So as you stretch your toes toward your face, of course, you might feel this in your heel or your Achilles calf. Can you feel it all the way to the sit bone? And when you point your toes, can you feel that stretch all the way, not only on the top of your foot, but up through the front of your shin? And then relax and melt. Arms out to the sides, feet hip width or wider apart, and just rocking left and right through your hips. So dropping the knees over to one side, picking them up and dropping them over to the other side. I'll pause here for a moment. You can straighten your legs or keep them bent. And just notice, are you more present in this moment? Are you more aware of your body? Are you living in your cells instead of just up inside your brain? Okay, now we're going to start to move some energy toward opening ourselves up for some beautiful breaths. So grab onto your rolled towel. Get mine over here. And we're going to, I know all of you have done this before, but let me explain one more time, just in case. We're going to take this rolled hand towel with 3 rubber bands on it, and we're going to start with this at our shoulders, and we're going to work it all the way down to our tailbone with 3 different positions as we go. So we're going to lie on that, and it may feel like not very much is happening in the beginning, but trust me, a lot is happening. This is a very good self-massage technique to get all the muscles that line your spine, your multifidus, to loosen and free up so that the spine has juice. It's more mobile. So we're going to start with this underneath our shoulder blades. Our feet are flat on the ground, knees bent. We're going to have 3 positions with the arms. But first, before we do that, we're going to learn how to rock. So we want to push off our feet. So we're rocking our body north and south. So top to bottom, crown to tail, rocking. So a lot of times people get caught up with a lot of pelvic tilting. So try to keep your pelvis. You can even put your hands on your pelvis at first, right way down on your pubic bone and low belly, so that you can feel that you're kind of neutral in there, that your pelvis isn't rocking around it very much, that you're really moving from the press of your heels, pushing away to have your whole spine rock. Now, once you got that, then we'll start in with the arm positions. So the hands are first just over the chest, mimicking a forward bend, very subtle, obviously. And then we're going to have the arms overhead, which mimics a back bend in the body. It isn't mimicking, it's actually doing it. And then back to that forward bend, the arms, hands over your chest, and then turn your head to the right and move your arms over to the right. And then back up and move your arms and your head to the left. So those are the three positions. We have flexion, extension, and rotation to each side. And then once you do that, then you get to switch and move the rolled towel a little bit lower down your body and start rocking again. So try to be fairly loosey-goosey in this. You want to have a lot of freedom. Let your jaw and your tongue relax. Let your hands be fairly soft. And then find your way. So some people love that. I love this. Some people really love this, and you want to stay for a really long time. Other people kind of plow right through it super fast. So you kind of take the pace that feels right to you, and ask me, if you can't figure this out as far as the rocking goes, please unmute yourself and ask me a question, because it's important to get this right. If you get it right, it feels amazing, and it's can feel a little wonky if you're not getting it right. So we want to have a really deep sense of flow, of freedom. Let your nervous system respond to the rocking. It's so good for our nervous systems to rock. It's very soothing, and it brings us online with the parasympathetic nervous system, that part of us that is in charge of rest and digest, the ease. So, just each time, each pass, you want to just move the rolled towel down a little bit lower in your spine. So you don't want to do this with a foam roller. You don't want to do this with tennis balls. They're all kind of just too hard and too high. The beauty of this is the subtlety. So even though you may feel like it's not this giant stretch, or it's not this giant sensation, sometimes we need to look for the smaller sensations as a gift, instead of, it's important to train our nervous systems to be aware of mid-range sensation, more subtle sensation, instead of always going for the most extreme in order for us to feel. Make sure you're breathing well. Enjoy the rocking. Now, I have no idea where you are in your body, but if you're moving very quickly and you're already down to your low back, you may feel, I always try to say this ahead of time so that you don't get, don't know what to do when you get to that point. But when you do get to the low back, I'm nowhere near there yet, but maybe you are. You want to have that feeling still. So it might be better, instead of having your arms be in the three positions we're doing, you could hold your knees and bring your knees toward your chest, hold your knees and just rock like that, so that the low back kind of comes down a little bit lower into the rolled towel. Find your breath. Some beautiful deep breathing, both on the inhale and the exhale. Try to get your head to be as passive in this as you can. Really let it relax. The legs are the only thing having to do any work, and even see if you can figure out a way to make this not be such a big deal for efforting. And you might find places that you really like, that you're like, ooh, I know I need that spot. And if you do, stay there, linger. There's no rushing that's necessary. And if you are going super fast, that's totally fine. And if you finish before I do, because, sorry, but you're going by my pace because that's just the way I'm teaching. But if you finish before I do, then try to go back to your favorite spot and do it again. If you noticed a few spots that you really liked, no reason not to return. I feel like I'm going faster than I normally do. A lot of times when I do this, when I'm not, teaching, it can take me a long time to get through my spine. So you may notice that you're faster or slower than me, and all is well. Okay, so whatever your pace is great. I'm about down to the top of my low back now. So I'm going to draw my knees in and kind of just rock on that rolled towel. Okay. And you can rock side to side to let some of those muscles like your quadratus lumborum get a little bit of nourishment here. It doesn't always have to be forward, top bottom. And you might have 2 or 3 passes in your low back before it feels comfortable to put your feet back down again. And then when you get to your sacrum, you can have your feet down and doing it. And then when you get to the very bottom of your sacrum, your tailbone, you might want to straighten your legs with your heels on the ground and then just rock your feet, flex point to kind of rock off your heels for that last bit of your sacrum. For some people, the top of the sacrum is a really, really good place to kind of hang out. There's a lot of freedom that can happen. And even when you get to your sacrum, even though you may feel like the arm positions are less important, they are still important. So see what it feels like to still be moving your arms above your chest and then overhead and then side as you're rocking top and bottom. Now, this is never a waste of time. So try to get into it. For some people, subtlety of sensation is like, oh, bother, I just want to feel the big stuff. Try to train yourself to be patient enough for the small. And then I'm at my last pass. I'm going to be at the very bottom of my sacrum. So I'm going to straighten my legs and push off my feet, off my heels. And maybe you're still up in your thoracic spine. I have no idea where you are, but let's just go ahead and rest now when you're ready. And you can keep doing it for a long time still more. I'll just keep going through our practice and you come join when you're ready. But before we start moving, notice your body. Get rid of the fold towel. Notice your body. Let's roll over onto our side and come up onto or into a standing position. Okay, so all the way up. Okay. Now it might feel weird to come off the ground. We've been there for a long time. So as we come to stand up, let's just notice here. Notice your posture. Notice the way your crown lands over your tail. You might still have that nervous system vibration of the rocking that's kind of the echoing in your body. Okay, so full breaths. And now lift your arms up, open the chest, exhale, relax your head, bend your knees, and fold. a halfway lift. Spine grows longer. Exhale and melt again. Relax in your forward fold for a moment. Just let your body soften. And then we're going to inch our feet back when you're ready to a dog pose. No rush to get there. All right, and then once you are in this inversion, see what it feels like. Spread out the hands, spread out the feet, yield, push and reach, melt your skull. Enjoy the open rib cage for your breath. Come forward into a plank. Feel that sense of symmetry and harmony. Hug your body toward the midline. Stretch your heels back. Find your breath. All right, let's put the knees down to support. Roll the shoulders a couple of times. Take a deep breath. Open the chest and find a back bend. Relax and melt back down. Take your arms out wider like a V. So you won't go as high up probably, but just feel the length in the front of your spine. Reach your feet, lengthen as best as you can, and then melt and fold. Bring your right knee up high toward your armpit. Let your back relax into this. Come up onto your forearms. Feel the hip flexor of that back leg open up a little bit. And when we're ready, finding a twist, cross the arm over to the side of your mat and open up. Okay, so we took our left arm over to the right. Now we're taking our right arm up and over to the ground. So we're opening up to a twist. Let the knee leave the floor. Come back to center. Right. Now we bring our left knee up toward our left armpit. You can be low toward the ground, forearms on the ground if you want. Let your back relax for a moment. Stretch through your hip flexors. Finding your breath. Now our right arm is going to cross over to the left, and we swing our left arm open, chest lifts, or not lifts, but opens toward the sky. Let your left knee leave the ground. So we're opening through the chest. Keep your head heavy. Full breaths here. All right, come back round, up onto all fours. Move the spine about. Wag your tail, circle your hips, move your rib cage around, whatever feels really good. You can be in just some basic cat-cows. Start noticing your breathing. All right, so some rib cage rolls here. Drop your chest down toward the ground, over to the right, up toward the sky, over to the left and down again. We want our rib cage to move as much as possible. Find your breath. Now go the other direction. Spin your circle the other way. Chest down, over to the left, up toward the sky, over to the right, and down. Breathe deeply. And then find your way back. Child's pose, walk the hands forward. Drop your hips back toward the heels. Feel free to rock a little bit left and right if that feels nice to you. All right, inching the hands over to the right side of the mat for the ribs to open wide. Ribs that take the bottom rib all the way through the rib cage, up into your armpit, all the way up into your finger pads. And then take the top ribs all the way through the rib cage and down to your sit bone. And come back, other side. Take your head and let it relax. And same, lift the bottom ribs up to the hand. Lift the top ribs down to the sit bone. Breathe into the width of your body. Keep your neck relaxed. Come back up on all fours. Move the spine about. Move the tail. Anything that feels good. We're taking a twist now. Lift the left arm. Take your hand behind your head. Open the chest a little bit more here. And then lift that arm up again. Swing that arm through, threading the needle. Feel the back of the shoulder blades broaden and open. Breathe like you're puffing out the back rib cage, especially where it attaches onto the ribs. Onto the spine. All right, let's come up, out of there, arm to the sky, hand down onto the ground. Second side, lift the arm up, find your breath, hand behind your head if it feels okay, and then back up and swing it through. So deepening all the ways that we use that rolled tail in the beginning to nourish a little bit of opening. Now we're going deeper into these positions. See if you can feel where the ribs and the vertebrae meet, and breathe deeply there. Puff that space out. And then reach that arm back up. Hand down onto the ground. Wag your tail a couple of times. And find your way up to dog pose. Spreading through your feet, pedaling your feet. Letting the hamstrings find their way into some openness. Then take your feet wide apart when you're ready. Turn your toes in a little bit. Feel all the space for your breath to travel in your body. Open the rib cage for breath. Open the pelvis for breath. Open the belly for breath. And then walk your feet forward, relax your neck. Uttanasana, interlace your hands behind your head and just give a little bit of a tug, chin toward chest. And release that, halfway lift, spine gets longer. And then melt and fold. Step your left foot back. We're coming to a lunge. Right foot is forward, left foot is back. Find your breath. Extend through your spine. Okay, let's start to move here, straightening and bending your knee. Just let the hamstrings and the hip flexors find their beautiful range of motion. How is your breathing? All right, and then when you're ready, plant the back heel down onto the ground and rise up into Virabhadrasana 1. Reach up, tip your head back. Feel that back bend that lives in the upper spine. Try not to compress the lumbar spine. Press your feet into the ground to rise up more. And then hands coming down to the ground. Back foot comes forward and melts. Relax your head. A halfway lift. Spine gets spacious and long. And then release. And now let's take the right foot back. Left foot is forward, lunging. Opening up your chest. Breathing deeply. All right, so return to your beautiful breath. Straightening and bending the front knee. Finding your way into the fullness of your movements. Finding your lunge, planting your back heel down on the ground, rising up, bring the arms to the sky. Now your arms might be out, your hands could be on your hips, you could be leaning forward more. So find the way that supports your body best. Full breaths here, ground into the legs. Push your feet to help you find the space in your lumbar spine. And then release the hands back to dog pose. Big, beautiful breath. Feet wide again, toes turned in. All right, let's walk our feet forward, turn sideways on the mat, turn your toes out and come into a deep squat, elbows inside your knees. So kind of like goddess pose, legs, we're just squatting to open up the hips and the inner thighs, let the pelvis broaden. And then turn your feet straight, bring your hands down onto the ground or blocks. You can have your hands forward like dog pose if you want for a super wide legged dog pose, or hands under your heart, whatever feels nice. Breathe into the diaphragm, let it relax and soften. Feel your full rib cage open and close, where we're expanding outward and we're drawing inward. All right, we're going to walk back to dog pose. So turn your hands to the front of your mat, feet back, finding the breath. Come forward into a plank. Put your knees down onto the ground. I want you to go grab 1 or 2 blankets, your choice. Okay, so we're going to have them underneath our chest / belly. So kind of find a comfortable place for those blankets to be. And we're going to lift up with wide arms. So similar to the pose we did earlier. We're going to have our hands wide and just stretch through your diaphragm. So the blankets are adding a little bit of not only extension through the torso, but a little pressure on your diaphragm. Breathe well, neck is long. All right. And then go ahead and relax. Come up onto all fours. Hopefully you didn't just eat breakfast. Okay, so wag your tail. Find any movement of the spine that's nourishing for you. Okay, keep those blankets where they are. Okay, and we're going to bring our right foot forward, our left foot back. Okay, now you might need a block there as well. You can experiment with different things. So we're not going into like half Hanumasana, the splits, but I want you to have a little bit of support against your hip flexor. So you might have a block that kind of prevents you from sinking too much deeper. The blankets might be enough for some people. See what feels good. We want to just have a little bit of feedback against the hip flexors as we come into a deep lunge. Now notice what your back is telling you. See, when we fall, sometimes we can compress into the low back. So see if you can move away from that block now a little bit. Find that resistance, reach the arm up and bring it to the outside of the knee or forearm on your knee. Breathing well. So the block is there to prevent you from falling, from sinking. Try to find the stretch of your hip flexors without collapsing into the prop. And then release. Come out of there, back to child's pose. Let the hip flexors soften. Now this might, the height might be good for you. You might need more height underneath to have that round block kind of tell you where far enough is. So now we're going to take our left foot forward. We're coming into a lunge. If you're very flexible, those 2 blocks might be enough, or the 2 blankets might be enough. I have my thigh against those blankets, but if you need a little bit more, have a block there and you can adjust the block to any height, and you don't have to rest on it. It's kind of something to just give you feedback to say, okay, that's a where I want to stretch and I want to stay there. And then notice when you press your feet into the ground and you hug your front heel and your back knee toward each other, do you feel that you aren't leaning on the block anymore? So that's what you want. You want to have it be a stop gate and a feedback loop for you. Reach that right arm up, find your breath, forearm onto the knee, twist open here. Just letting the hip flexors find some space, breathing well. And then coming back to center. Coming out of there, back to child's pose. Maybe the blankets are under your head now, wherever you want them to be. We're gonna have one more posture that we use these blankets for right now. The first, come up to another dog pose. Maybe you want your feet wide again. Maybe you don't. Relax your back. And we're gonna come down so that we're on the blankets. We're gonna bring our chest onto the ground. Open the chest, so a supported bridge pose. Okay, with blankets. Okay, so this is not as high as maybe you wanna be. Maybe it's higher than you wanna be, so find your height. And then we're gonna stretch both legs straight if you can, and stretch arms overhead so that you get this full front body stretch. Stretch your heels. You can have your legs wider apart if that feels better. Breathing deeply. Okay. And then relax that. Bring your knees toward your chest. Hopefully you can still reach your 2 blocks without having to change your position. Have 1 block on either side of the blankets. Okay, so knees to your chest. Find a happy baby pose here. Our hips are still up. Let your back relax and soften. Okay, and then we're gonna put our feet onto the ground. Lift your hips up and scoot them over to the right a couple of inches. Bring your knees back up toward your chest, and we're dropping our knees left. Have that block underneath the left side shin so that you have support for your legs. Breathing into the open chest. Come back to center. Scoot your hips over to the left. Knees come up. And we're dropping them over to the right. And take that block underneath the side of your shin so you have support. All right, so find your breath. Enjoy the fact that your hips are higher than your chest. Hopefully this is soothing to your low back. Let your neck relax, your head relax. Breathing well. And come back to center. Go one way or the other. We're going to come off of the blanket. Finding your breath. Sit on your shins or on a block or however you want to sit. We're going to lift our arms up, cross left arm over right. Drop the shoulders. Lift the elbows up and away. Just feel the tops of your shoulders. Open up a little bit. Drop the shoulders down. A lot of times when we breathe inefficiently, we use a lot of these muscles up in our neck and shoulders to breathe. So let's get some awareness of those muscles. So when we do some breath work in a moment, we know what they are doing. Switch sides when you're ready. Right arm over left, shoulders down, lift the elbows, try not to pop your rib cage out, see if you can stay integrated. And relax. Now, hopefully you're okay with how you're sitting. Adjust if you need to. Back to where we were in the beginning, arms up, press your hands straight out to the sides. Fingertips up, pull your hands back just a little bit. Keep your neck as neutral and relaxed as you possibly can. And then release your hands down, shrug your shoulders and let it go. reach behind you. We're going to grab onto the left wrist with the right hand and find a neck stretch here. So reach your left ear up as your left ear or your left shoulder drops down. So we're keeping our shoulders in line. Now feel free to move your chin. You can drop your chin toward your chest a little bit more. You can lift your chin, be very slow. Feel all these little muscles. These are your scalenes on the side of your neck, and they very much can contribute to breathing when we're, using those accessory muscles. And they'll come back to neutral. Maybe a shrug if you want, and then switch sides. The accessory muscles are upper traps, our scalenes. We should really only use these muscles to breathe when we're huffing and puffing, like running hard or needing to breathe fast and hard. But a lot of times, the way we have developed patterns in our body, we use these muscles even when we're just sitting down at the computer working or driving or anything that we're doing. So let's see if we can get a little bit of awareness of the sensation of these muscles so that we know whether we're using them. We're conscious of whether we're using them or not for breathing. Move your neck around so chin can move. You might find that this clears some pathways in your sinuses. All right. So now just let your neck relax. You can shrug your shoulders or chip your chin down, whatever feels good to just release some of the tension here. And find your way into your breath. Now, if you're happy with where you're sitting, stay. If you need to change position, you can do the standing, you can do the sitting in a chair. It doesn't have to be, I'm in Virasana. Maybe you're in Virasana, maybe you're in Sukhasana, whatever feels good. All right, so we're going to flip our palms open for a moment, fingers pointing straight ahead, and then open our hands out to the side. So we get that feeling that the chest is open, that the back body can support. And then release your arms to a comfortable way without changing so much in your chest. So let's not come into the collapse. And then just notice, is there anywhere that's tense that you want to release and let go? Is there anything that you need to do to relax more? Let's put our hands for a moment on our bottom rib cage. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Move your hands and put them on your chest. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Breathe in through your nose. Put your hands at your upper rib cage, however you can get them there. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Hands on your traps and your neck. Try to relax this part of your body as you breathe. Now very gently place your hands on top of your head, elbows wide. A teeniest bit of pressure to ground yourself, not enough to compress and shrink and collapse. Ground. Feel your crown meet the ground. And lastly, put your hands on your belly. And breathe here. Discover the little bit of pause at the bottom of your exhale. Stay there for a moment before your next inhale. And come out of there. Come onto your back. Bring your knees to your chest. And this time our rocking is side side rocking. Grab your block. Put it on the lowest height underneath your sacrum and lift your legs straight up in the air. Maybe you want to have your knees bent toward your chest. Maybe you like your legs straight up. You can really be however you want. All right. Come out when you are ready and find any posture you still need in your body. And as we find our way into Shavasana, try to return to the beautiful breath that you've been cultivating all class. Okay? If you are at all cold, cover yourself. If you need support of props, take the support of props. Find relaxation in the best way that you can right now for Shavasana. If you have socks, come on. If you have warmth, put it over you. As you find your way into the rest of Shavasana, the ease of Shavasana, first just discover the heaviness of your limbs. You notice the weight of your legs. You notice the weight of your head. You notice the weight of your shoulders, arms. You notice the weight of your spine, pelvis. Allow your breath to stay open and free. Feel as though the exhales take you deeper. Hands open, I'm breathing. Feel your body melt down one more time. And as you are ready, find a bit of movement. To your side. Push yourself up to sit when you're ready. When you are ready, let's bring our hands together at our heart. Notice if your breathing is slow and steady. Let's offer the gift of our practice to another. Send your love and care to someone. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on the day. Hope you have a good breathing day.